All right. So we are live. We've made it to the end of the season. This is episode 30 of What the Fuck Just Happened, season finale. Starting a little early. Got the Wizards and the 76ers playing right now. And I think there's another playoff game going uh, right now. Oh, come on. That was definitely a charge. They call that a block. But anyway, so it's been interesting doing this show and doing this the way that I've been able to figure this thing out. So hopefully this early start time will give people time to filter in, push these links out, yada, 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 yakety schmackety, and we'll see what happens from then on. So I'm going to just give people time to filter in. This is going to be a longer non-camera segment than most as I start to fumble over my words, but that's just nerves because before any broadcast, usually the nerves start building up. The thing that makes you human. It makes you come to life. Either you sink or swim when you're doing this. And also, this is kind of a clue where I'm going next. So that will be talked about at the end. So other than that, how is everybody's day going? How is everybody doing? How are your family? Hopefully everybody had a safe Memorial Day weekend. If you folks are working, hopefully you guys are being safe at work. For those that are not working, hopefully you're finding stuff to be productive, because just because you're not employed at the moment doesn't mean you're not being productive. But if you're not being productive, that means your ass will not get employed. Because if I was hiring and I find out that you don't like to be productive, I'm not going to hire you. It's just the way life works. So with that in mind, let's get started. Look at me. I sat there. I shouldn't even reveal this, but I'm very transparent with the people that view and listen to this podcast. But I just did the first segment without my headphones plugged in, so this was just a prop for the first 2 minutes of just talking with you guys. So let me see. So far, we got one person that's here. Say hi if you're able to speak in the chat. Again, welcome to episode 30, season 3 finale of What the Fuck Just Happened. We definitely have a lot to talk about. Definitely a lot went on, and I am emptying the clip. Yeah, that was forced, but sometimes you think of stuff on the spot. But yeah, so there's going to be a lot that I'm going to go through, so bear with me. This may be a longer episode, but I think you guys have been used to longer episodes. I think last week's episode was kind of long. I try to keep these in an hour because I know people's attention span. And plus, I'm battling the NBA playoffs. There's no way I can compete with that. So if I even got the slightest bit of your attention, I do appreciate it. Anyway, so let me get through the typical stuff that I tend to get through. So if you guys want to find me on Twitch, my Twitch channel, you can find me at EVO325. That's on Twitch. I think the plan is to stream games. I think I may focus on State of K2, because just by doing the little bit that I've done, I've pretty much found out that my biggest audience is State of K2. You know, I did a couple episodes, a couple series. I think about 3 series of State of K2 and got quite a good amount of views. So I was actually happy about that. Could get more, but you know, it is what it is. And then on YouTube, if you want to find me on there, if you're viewing this on Spotify or whatever, you can find my YouTube channel is DJ81 under Derek Jordan, just in case many searches come up, because there's 1,000,001 Derek Jordans all over the world, even with my middle initial, which I won't reveal. And if you want to find me on Twitch, is DJ81. That's where you'll find. Well, oh God, they call that a foul? Wow, that's crazy. Right? Oh, Gil is in the game. He came in, blocked the shit out of Dwight Howard, and they called a foul on that. It's clean. Anyway, but that, yeah, Twitter is the main spot that I communicate with folks and so on. And if you want to check out any of my writings, you can find those on my website. That is dj81.org. You can find articles. You can find the playlist to What the Fuck Just Happened, the YouTube version, so you can see the visual nature of it. And for those, just to let you guys know, this podcast is available on Spotify. So if you check, let me see, if you search DJ or you search Derek Jordan or What the Fuck Just Happened, I know there are several searches that pop up. There are several podcasts that are like What the Fuck Just Happened, or What the Fuck, or whatever. Just look for my logo. If you see, it's on the top. To you guys, it's on your top right hand side. So you see that logo, you're in the right place. And once again, if you want to, you don't have to, be much appreciated. You can donate any charitable funds to my PayPal or Zelle. That's at evo325@gmail.com. So I'm going to just keep that there for a second. Checking on this game right now. The Wizards up by 4. They're finishing up the first quarter. Philly just missed the attempted 3. So it's going to be kind of like in and out, be checking out the game as it's going on in the background. So it goes without saying, but I'm going to ask the question anyways. The Wizards turn the ball over. Why am I here? Why are we here? Why do we continue to be here week after week after week? Of course, this would be the last week for a good long time. But yeah, let's share our opening thoughts. And one thing I've neglected to do, well, in a way I haven't, but I haven't directly addressed my background and how I can help you guys. So I am a certified personal trainer. I've been training for about 7 years. And it's not really been, a lot of business for me. I'm the type of person, I'm low key. If I get business, I get business. But whenever the situation does arise, I do consult with friends and, even strangers that, just want to, get some knowledge on certain things. I'm always willing to part with knowledge whenever it need be. If it leads to a client, so be it. If it does, if it doesn't, hey, I was able to help the next person, and hopefully they can help the next person. So basically, it seems like with the last year that just hit us with the pandemic, I've mentioned it several times on this show. The fact that most of us have spent most of our time indoors, away from people, not doing what we usually do, like our routines interrupted, exercise routines interrupted, even just being able to have moments to yourself interrupted. And that is especially there with people who have families, people who live in a living situation where they can't really just get away and have that peace. So in the waning moments of this pandemic, everybody's starting to get out. People are starting to feel more safe about being around other people. And unfortunately, on the negative side of it, people just don't know how to act. So there's certain things that I could put out there that will help as people ease their way back into society, so they don't do the things that we've seen on these videos where we've seen fans just start fighting each other in the stands. You got these fans in the NBA playoffs that have gone crazy. Shoot, airline, let's see, flights, people fighting the stewardess, people fighting each other on the airlines, and just unruly behavior. I know that we've gone back to mass shootings again. So that was happening before the pandemic. Well, it wasn't talked about much before the pandemic, but it was happening before the pandemic, before even Trump got here, and even So it seems like we're ourselves, but we're a more insane version of ourselves. And some of the things that I've learned over the years of being on this planet, not that I was on any other planet, but I'm just saying, being on this world, that patience is a virtue. Patience is a matter of taking a deep breath, taking a step back, looking at things in a bigger scheme, a bigger, range of things, where people are just impulsive by nature, and it's not their fault. It's one of those things where it's just like they see and they do it. They see, they react, and there's little or no time. Sometimes there's no time to react to it. Sometimes there's a little bit of time, but sometimes some of us are impulsive, even though we have a ton of time to think about it. So one of those things where it's like, take a deep breath, take a step back, look at the possibilities, weigh the pros and cons of what you're about to do next. Things that help alleviate the stress of those situations could be meditation, could be listening to like music. If you have a favorite song, it's good to listen to good beats. Watching your favorite shows, playing back. See, and this is a mental thing that obviously, if people didn't videotape their childhood or didn't videotape a lot, they could play mental good memories of the past. What made them happy, things that make you smile, things that put you in a good mood, so that way you're not in a situation, or you're rarely in a situation where you're just caught slipping, and then you had to fuck somebody up because you woke up on wrong side of bed. So we got Subliminary in here. Let me grab him real quick. Not grab him, but let me grab his comment. He says, DJ. So what's up, Subliminary? Glad you're here. I know you're probably watching the game as well. Right now it's tied, and that concerns me. I'm like, again, I keep saying this because I'm realistic about the Wizards. They're, even without Embiid, Philly is a superior team. With Embiid, they're a far superior team than the Wizards. But if the Wizards manage to pull this off, I'm sure they're going to get Embiid in Game 6. But I don't know what type of Embiid they get. Why do they always pump fake? Just take it straight up. But they'll probably get a stronger version of Embiid. But I'm talking about mental and physical tips that will help your health as we get back into society. So, like I said, play mental memories, things that make you smile, things that put you in a good mood. Exercising. This is one of the things that in my studies, I've heard, and I've witnessed people literally either find a way out of it, or allow situations that they can control keep them from doing the very thing that will actually create a better situation for them. And it's funny how much you can do a little bit of something here and there. Doesn't have to be like a whole 45-minute session. It doesn't have to be a whole hour. You hear people, celebrities training for like hours on the day. It doesn't have to be that long. You can pretty much get in a little something for about 10. If you have like in a day, 24 hours, if you have just 5 to 10 minutes, think about when you're on a treadmill, you run for about 15 minutes. Just take those initial 5 minutes. If you break those up into a minute intervals, there's a lot you can do. I'm like, a minute is a long time. 10 is forever. So it's not that I'm not asking you to put in a ton of time. What I'm asking and what I'm saying is that is with as little time as possible, is a lot that you can get done. And definitely in 5 minutes, you can get a lot more done that will be good for your mental and physical health than wasting it. So it is what it is. And preliminary, he says, I deal with anxiety very bad. I thought it was normal at first. Yeah. I think as we move away from the time period, like, I'm 41. If you move away from the time period where there was like little to no technology that separated us, it's going to be more obvious that people are going to be susceptible to nervous breakdowns, overwhelming feelings, especially dealing with society. And then again, you just had the pandemic with COVID-19 scare everybody half to death because it literally killed people. And then, people not wanting to return to work and people not wanting to return to society. They want to stay holed up. I know me, I'm kind of wanting to play it safe. So it's one of those things where, like, I think it's more needed now more than ever to find vices that keep ourselves sane and keep ourselves at an even keel on the good side. And if there's any negativity, brewing up, and let it out, but let it out in a constructive manner. Like I said, exercise. Definitely in cases where like you have something that's stressing you out and you just want to talk to somebody, find a friend, talk with them, find it's somebody you trust and just let them be that ear, or you just get everything out so it's not festering inside you. So like I said, exercise is good for that. If you like to run, running is great for people who like, I have a friend that she likes to run a whole lot, and it feels like if she's not running, she's going to go crazy. And if she doesn't drink coffee, if she doesn't get her coffee, she'll kill you. She doesn't get her run, she'll kill you. It's, I'm telling you, certain things mean a whole lot to people. I think people just don't understand how important it is to try to just keep yourself occupied, keep yourself in a good spirit, because no one else is going to do it for you. I'm like me, I'm sitting here, I'm just saying what I'm saying, and it's just going to be what it is. You may listen, you may not. So, all right. So preliminaries, he says, working in architectural firms, I would literally have anxiety attacks every day. And let's see, I've not actually worked at anything corporate related before. I've gotten away living 41 years and ever since 15, I've been working. I've never worked in like a corporate, like white collar job. I'm not saying that what you do is white collar, but it seems when you talk about architectural firms, I know seeing what you've done, there's more at stake than just regular construction. There's definitely houses being built. There's definitely like future proof construction, future proof building structures and stuff like that, just by design. That's why I know your thing is like WB by designs, or is it preliminary by designs? I'm trying to remember what it says on your Twitter, but it definitely can be stressful if you have to figure all these things out and you're drawing it out, you're putting it together, the math has to be there, the concepts, everything that has to be done. And then you go into a meeting to translate this design to people who okay, that's what I figured it was, WRB design. So I was missing a letter. Ah, man. So yeah, he says is WRB designs. So, and you go in there and you have to express, like, do you have to, let's see, do you literally have to go in and explain your concept to folks that may not have a clue what you're talking about? They see something, it looks cool. They're like, oh yeah, that looks cool. I like that design. How did you come up with it? And then when you go to explain it to them, it's just like, they have the dead look expression on your face because you're speaking the way you're speaking about your concepts, what it means and whatnot, and they have no clue. That can be very stressful because it's like these folks are the very people that could, they'll pick my design, but they will have no clue why they picked my design, and I gotta make money off of this. So yeah, so that can be stressful. I know I tend to have stage fright at times. I remember I had a bad case of stage fright. I had to just go up, even though it was like in front of a small group of people, but this was at work. When I used to work at a gym, just to talk about a concept that we just learned like seconds ago. I think that's even more. I think that's just as stressful. You just like they're telling you about a concept that you now have to go up and explain to everybody else that they just told us a few minutes ago. So I didn't have my words together. I didn't have anything together. It was just crazy. So okay, so he says, nope, we have to ensure the building meets all codes. Okay, yeah, that is definitely stressful. You're talking about OSHA standards. You're talking about like each state has different laws, coding as far as safe health and safety, emergency stuff like that. Uh, Telecommunications is probably involved, and yeah, it is way stressful. And Wizards still up by one, but that's crazy that they're still up. That they're only up by one without Embiid in the game. That's nonsense. But anyway, so yeah, again, for everybody's mental and physical health, I definitely recommend listening to good music, trying to picture mentally what makes you happy, what makes you smile, listen to good music, exercise, dive into your hobbies when you get the chance. Like I play video games, so gaming helps me out mentally. I listen to binaural beats, so that helps me with like sleep. And that's another thing. A lot of that, the with stresses adding up, it also leads to lack of sleep. So it's like if you meditate at night, exercise regularly, and you eat as clean as possible. Because I'm not the best person to say eat clean because I don't. I try to keep everything balanced, but I'm a child of the '80s. I survived McDonald's before they really processed everything. Now they really process the food. Now they didn't really so much then, but so definitely I listen to binaural beats to help me go to sleep. I need something that like stimulates my mind and just puts me at ease so I can just sleep. I also bought a quilt or not a quilt, but I bought a blanket that's like a 15-pound blanket that keep my ass still because I tend to move around when I sleep. So, but that's it for opening thoughts. It's longer than usual because it was something that was really, I think you're seeing an overall theme of this playing out, like I mentioned, with the NBA fans and the playoffs, people, how they're acting as they're readjusting to society. It's almost like if you're in the military and you was in there for a long time and having to when you get out, either you retire or your enlistment ends, you have to come home. and you have to readjust to civilian life, and it's a hard transition. Trust me. That I'm like, it's even worse if you've seen combat, because you're not the same person. I'm like, I've never seen combat, but those that have gone on, and we just came off a holiday where we honored our fallen. So they never came back from combat. But for those that did come back from combat and then have to either retire or whatever due to whatever condition, that adjustment to civilian life is very stressful. And you want to talk about a hit on mental health, that's the biggest one, because eventually what happens and what tends to happen is that some of our veterans, they wind up committing suicide. So it's not a good situation overall. All right, so sorry to drag you guys through the mud on that one, but we're going to turn the corner just a bit because we had some shenanigans with the reveal of gameplay for Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West. Apparently, people are just going to town on Aloy's looks. They're not really talking so much about the gameplay. They're talking about, oh, she looks a little chubby. She looks a little chubby. They're worried about the fact that her face is fuller, because that's all you can tell of her being different, slightly different than the first game. But I think it leads to an overall notion that there are just too many people just hyper focused on women's looks in a video game. I get it. But then again, I don't. I really don't. This is talking about this game for a second, Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West, which, according to what we just heard with God of War being delayed, I wouldn't be surprised if Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West was delayed until next year. And then what are you next gen console people got the console early going to play? So the game, looking at the reveal, the game looks awesome. The game looks like it has some new playable features. There's some new weapons, abilities. She definitely has changed, and she definitely is ready for this adventure. And the fact that there are new machines, animal machines that are out there. There's a whole lot. There was a whole lot going on in that trailer, that reveal. But again, we go back to people focusing on the fact that she sounds a little chubby. She's a little chubby. I sat there and said, I think I said this on Twitter. If I can, I'll pull it up real quick as I do my struggle with my phone. I'll pull up the tweet because I want to say it verbatim, because I think it stings a little bit more to those people that continue to harp on people's looks. I'm like, these are the same people that they don't care if the apocalypse is taking place in the game. You either got to have your nails done, your makeup done. You got to be like rail thin. And it's funny, guys talking about what looks feminine. Oh God, I don't think there's a typical guy. I can't explain what femininity is. I can barely even say it. And I know people have preferences. And what is going on is that there are a lot of guys out here in the gaming community pushing their preferences to be fact. And that is not true at all. That is not true at all. There is all types of looks that women have. And, as men age, we change. We're not so like studly. Like I'm 41 and I can see that I'm not as youthful as I used to be. I don't have the same amount of conditioning. I think the only thing that I'm gifted with is just my looks, but that's gonna fade eventually. But the madness is that this is over a fictional character. She's not real. Why does she have to fit a certain mold, especially for the fact that her having her hair done, her lipstick, her face, whatever, is not going to fit the adventure that she is facing. She's facing the end of the world. I don't think she gives a shit how she looks. And it's just crazy. And let me find that oops, I hit the wrong button here. Let me find that okay, Wiz is up by 4. If I can find it. It probably wasn't too long ago. I was talking about the refs in that one. Oh yeah, newsflash. Apparently Soft Drink Sports ended his career as a Madden commentator. Tried to tell him that's how it was going to end. Being repetitive, it gets you. Hey, but he didn't want to listen. That's how it works. Let's see if I can find it here. Nope. I am definitely going through my here we go. All right, so I'm gonna read this tweet that I put out. This was about 3 days ago. I said Horizon Zero Dawn, more specifically Aloy, is not about a beauty contest, nor is she in one. Y'all gotta miss me with this BS about her looks. It leads me to believe that some of y'all out here are more likely to beat their meat than their games. And I said it. Fight me. I believe that is exactly true. That's just my belief. Some of y'all rather wank off to her than keep your hands on the sticks and then complete the game. So, all right. So Pooh, he's making himself known. He says, "Enjoy the season finale." He's lurking. He's all. You're lurking, but I think aren't you streaming right now too? So that's why you tend to lurk. But I appreciate you for showing up. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you for commenting. So it's definitely appreciated. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, okay, Pooh says 1 hour he will be streaming. So I may be done by then, but I still got several more topics to go through. Oh, it ain't the typical 3 that I usually do. I said earlier I was going to empty the clip, and I am going to do that. So Pooh says, "Thank you for coming by when I was venting." Yeah, I mean, trust me, I'm at that point myself. That's why I'm happy that this season is wrapping up today, because looking up, I have a month until I come back. I've already told you guys I'm not coming back I'm not doing another episode until July 9th, because having my head down and staying committed to the show has earned me a month off, because what was going on was that I would do the 10 episodes and then take the 2 weeks off, come back in the 3rd week, which would be part of the previous quarter. And eventually, you know how that works. It works backwards. I get done early, take the break early, and it added up to I have 4 weeks, because June this month is the last quarter of the second quarter and the first half of the year. So I've earned it, and I'm gonna take it. So, but yeah, hey fellas, do better. Don't be so stressed over these ladies' looks, fictional ladies' looks in a character. You can do that mess in real life, I'm just telling you right now, I'd rather be stressed over a chick's looks in real life than in a video game. Just saying. I wonder how y'all life was like when Laura Croft and her triangular breasts were invading our screens. Y'all weren't saying shit then. Right. Exactly. So, and that leads me to a prominent tennis player. Not the last thing I said, but in the theme of mental health and awareness, Naomi Osaka just withdrew from the French Open. And that's good. Because she didn't want to participate in the pressers and stuff like that. She would probably, I think she did like an on-court talk with a reporter, I think after her first match. She won her first match. And after she revealed that she wasn't going to do like the in-depth pressers and stuff like that, and shoot, looking over some of her pressers in the past, you kind of could tell that something was, but she revealed that she's been going through like depression and stress and just wanted to alleviate herself of it and keep herself focused on the task at hand. First of all, she's a tennis player, one of the top tennis players in the world. I'm not even going to stress male, female. Top tennis players in the world. And the people at the French Open, the committee over there is stressing her out over having to do the in-depth, like the long media sessions. And, when anyone talks about mental health and wanting to take breaks because, look, my mental health is not where it should be, let me relax, let me take a day or two to relax. And in this case, it would have been, look, let me just not do the media session. Let me just focus on playing tennis, because that's the only thing right now that's bringing me joy, because you guys in media and everyone knows, whether you're in politics or whatever, the media has been stressing everybody the fuck out. The media has stressed everybody out all last year about the pandemic. Now they're stressing us all year long. They're stressing us now about Biden and Kamala, and the fact that this country has been in a gridlock for the last 13 years. We've been in a gridlock. Nothing has changed. Nothing has moved forward, other than the people have moved forward, but government has not. And unfortunately, the government has to move forward in order for all of us to move forward. But anyway, back to Naomi. So, and Subliminary Sports says mental health is real. It definitely is. And it's funny because it's been creeping into these shows. Like, I took it on head on, I think, a couple episodes ago, and leading into this episode, it definitely is prominent because, in her case, knowing that she's been going through all that. And then remember when she beat Serena Williams and how she was acting then? You can tell something was up. I'm like, Serena had to console her. I'm like, people will celebrate, victories in a particular way. Naomi was crying the whole entire time, hiding her face behind a towel as they were celebrating her victory over Serena Williams. And Serena had to console her. And, whatever she does outside of tennis to help herself, and hopefully she has a strong support base. I would think she should, but if she doesn't, she needs to get one. Some of those tips that I said at the beginning of the show definitely would help. She doesn't have to worry about the exercise part because she's a world-class tennis player. She's in more shape than I am. So it's one of those things where she has to have the other stuff taken care of. She has to get her rest. She has to take care of herself mentally to stay right. And the sad part about this situation is that the French Open viewed this as an unfair advantage because everyone else, okay, the letter of the law that they're putting out there in summary, because you're participating in this tournament, there are obligations that every tennis player has to meet, and one of them is their media obligations. So if they're saying, and they're hiding behind this, is that by allowing her to skip media sessions and whatnot, it gives her an unfair advantage over the rest of the tennis players in the tournament and so on and so on. Which the letter of the law, it's fair, but at the same time, you have to view it as a case by case situation. Just looking at, just thinking about it, because what if? No, funny thing is, what if? Okay, look, I don't know who currently is the top male tennis player right now, but let's say back in the day, Pete Sampras wanted to skip a media session, and that tournament was like, no, and he wanted to, and he was looking at his mental health as a reason why he wanted to skip the media sessions. With the French Open or with Wimbledon, give him the same deal as they're giving Naomi? I don't know. There's like two ways to think about that. I'm not even going to go there because it's not even worth it. This whole thing is about a person's mental health. I don't care what the visuals look like as far as who that person is, what they are, or whatnot. But if a person, the moment somebody talks about mental health, like I need to take a mental health break. I need to take a break. I need to, relax. I need to, folks need to pay attention. So when Naomi talking about this, she's still playing. Well, now she's out of the French Open because she withdrew herself. Rather than being expelled, which I think would have looked badly if they would have expelled her. It probably would have been bad for them. But she took herself out because she was just like, you know what? If you're not going to take me seriously, then I don't need to be here. And I agree with that. So Subliminary Sports asks, you think drinking water helps? Drinking clean water helps. Everybody, I can't stress that enough. If you have a water filter in your home, like not the ones that are underneath the sink, the ones you can place on the faucet, on the spigot or whatever, clean water, filtered water is good for you. Water is good in general, but coming out of our homes, we don't know how much filtration is done to that water. I'm like, because remember, this is water that they say it's fresh, but no, it's not. It's recycled water. I'm like, what goes out in the ocean comes back. And then we got the pollution going into the sky. We got the clouds soaking that up, and then it comes down to our waters, our rivers, lakes, and whatnot, and then it goes back into our streams, which we get the water from. It goes into piping, which they probably haven't cleaned in such time. They say the water's treated, whatever, how many times, but it still has to get to your house. And then by the time it gets to your house, it's probably stale. I don't know what temperature it is at that point. And then when it comes out of the spigot, you can tell by looking at it if your water is clean or not. Not that you had the situation that you have with Flint, Michigan, and that crisis that's still going on to this day. You have to look at it, and I can see the difference. When I pour the filtered water from the same faucet, when I pour the filtered water into a bottle, it looks more clear than I would if I would have taken from that same faucet and poured the regular water in it. More clear, and it's smoother tasting. So just the taste alone, there's something in it if it doesn't taste smooth. See, water is supposed to be smooth. It's not supposed to be like rough and whatnot. I can tell. That's just me being sensitive to the water. But yeah, you got all these things going on, and right now the Sixers are up by 3. So with the second quarter running down, Philly's up 62-59. Ooh, what the hell happened there? Oh wow. Mm-mm-mm. So yeah, drinking water helps. You just have to make sure it's filtered. Get bottled water. And then you can use the same bottle to pour the filtered water into the bottle. If you're the type that likes to measure how much you drink, like you do 16.9 fluid ounces versus, some people do the 33. I tend to do the 33 at a time because I want to at least get the 64 fluid ounces or 66 fluid ounces. That's like the base minimum for everybody. And then after that, you can kind of gauge by your own weight. I know me, I had to literally drink 1.5 liters, which is insane. I'm like, you're not drinking it all at one time, you're drinking it throughout the day. But they say 8 glasses a day, 8-ounce cup would do. So start there. But make sure it's clean and make sure. They said there are good times to drink. There's drink when you first get up. You drink water before you have breakfast. Drink water before you take a shower. That reduces your blood pressure. Like the first one reduces it activates your digestion. The second one prepares your digestion for food, and the other one reduces your blood pressure before you jump in a warm shower. So there we go. Now it's tied again. So yeah, but as far as Naomi Osaka is concerned, I know Venus Williams, they asked her about Naomi's situation, and Venus put it bluntly. She was like, when a tip that I don't know if she wants to use it or not, everyone's different, but the thing that I do is that I'm speaking as if I'm Venus Williams at this point. The thing that I do is that I know everybody in the room that I'm talking to. And I know that, and I know the people that didn't play tennis at my level in my condition and whatnot. So, and just stepping outside, just back to me, back to myself, not as Venus, as DJ. In summary, she's saying, I know who's full of shit and not to take them seriously when they ask me these dumbass questions. Because I know her sister Serena has been getting some dumbass questions in her pressers, and they stress the fuck out of her. But they are afraid to ask her anything because she definitely is the type that probably would knock you out if you you asked her something stupid. So that's neither here nor there. But good on Naomi to practice her mental health. Also good on Kwame Brown practicing his mental health. Because I know after a while, when people say the same shit about you over and over again, you get tired of it and you fight back. And that's what he's been doing. I don't care what his politics are or whatnot. You're not going to keep kicking my name in the dirt, even though I can't defend the fact that my basketball play didn't help me. But I don't play basketball anymore. So you don't have to continue to use that to get ratings. Because that's what people are doing these days. They're not really, as far as Kwame is concerned, people aren't shitting on Kwame just to bring up a valid point. They're shitting on Kwame because it's popular, because it's cool. And, I did it too, because he did suck as a basketball player. But that was as a basketball player. I don't know him from a can of paint. And, from listening to him, he's making a lot of good points. The other rhetoric, that's what he does. But anyway, so where are we to next? Oh, so this is when I was talking about earlier about, everybody reintegrating themselves back into society. So this is another point that I wanted to talk about. And it's a question. Is your state open? Because with the pandemic winding down, people are going to slowly make their way out, just like the cicadas are. That's the new pandemic. This is cicadas. the cicada 2K21. That's the new pandemic. Nobody wants to deal with the cicada, especially for the fact. Oh boy. There's a hey, what's up, Thaddeus? I'm glad you're here. Thank you for stopping by. Thaddeus says, "Don't you go talking about that man. He gonna come get you." And I'm like, if he's who I think he is, he would actually appreciate what I'm saying. And I'm not shitting on him. The only reason he would come after me if one of his I'm gonna use his term. One of his go along, get along friends or fans, not friends, go along, get along fans report back to him, because that's what tends to happen. And stuff gets twisted when that happens. So if he listens to a word I'm saying or something that I said, Kwame, listen for completion and comprehension. Don't take on the surface what any of your fans report back to you, because they will get it twisted. They want ratings from you at this point. Your 15 minutes is up, as Bills has said. So, but yeah, I'm like, there's nothing. I have nothing. I find him entertaining, insightful, and all that. But as a basketball player, yeah, we're just gonna leave that one alone. So, all right. So, Complimentary says the second COVID vaccine shot made me very tired. Hello, that's what happened to me. I'm telling you, the month of April was hell for me. I'll talk about that in a little bit, because that has a lot to do with mental health as well. That the COVID shots. The government did us dirty, though. They really did us dirty. So that is just like facts. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. But what was I talking about again? I kind of got lost there. Yeah, is your state open? That's what I was talking about. Okay, so Maryland definitely is almost open. I wouldn't say all the way open. I know Governor Hogan said we're open for business over the summer. We're not all the way open, but he's taking measures to make sure that we're, as far as making sure our state is open, even ending. I think July 4th, he's ending the federal extension, the federal add-on for unemployment, which is kind of crazy how we went backwards with that. I would have thought 300 would have been initially, and then 600 after that. But those that enjoyed that 600, they definitely didn't like this 300, and they're definitely not gonna like crawling all the way to September. But July 4th is I think July 3rd, July 4th is the last day for that federal, before they officially opt out. They actually requested it yesterday because it's required by state law in writing to opt out of it. So, and it is kind of interesting. And there's several other states that have already opted out. And you have states like Texas and Florida that kind of been open the whole entire time. Well, they opened up last summer and kind of, pushed everybody through it. They didn't really, I felt like their governors weren't really caring about their citizens' lives. They were just worried about the money. And which, at the end of the day, this is what this was all about. The state's open because they're losing money. They don't care about your safety. They don't care about your health. Now, it's getting better. Yes. But do they really care? And definitely Texas and Florida is showing they don't give a shit about you. They don't care if you're like crawling and you have COVID, H1N1, which I just heard. And this is where China needs to stop doing what they're doing, which is actually, we're partially responsible, because according to these these hearings, we probably funded COVID-19. If that is proven out right, you realize how much in trouble this country would be in. We funded from the evidence that's being put out there, it looks like we funded COVID-19. But I'm not trying to get my shit shut down. But that's through these hearings. We funded research that helped with that lab in Wuhan. So yeah, and they just a news came out where a guy got a new strain of the bird flu. Yay! We're about to do this shit all over again, starting this fall or this winter. I don't know if they'll call it COVID-20. They'll probably call it H1N1 at this point. So see what Thaddeus put. So Thaddeus was like, I was fine with both shots. Took a bunch of vitamin C and D. But the fact that you had to do that, you do that when you're about to get sick. that's the vaccine is supposed to never mind, because the flu vaccine does the same shit. And that also said PG just opened back up, and he's surprised that Montgomery County is open back up too. Well, I'm telling you right now, Howard County, I feel like Howard County is kind of playing to the fiddle of Governor Hogan. Just saying, I feel like our county exec just I like the guy. He's been good for the community, but it just seems like it's a little bit of cozying up to Governor Hogan. And I like Hogan too. But the thing is, I think it's just a lot of cozying up to Hogan that I see our county executive doing. Executive Ball. Good dude. I see he has a lot of mutual friends of mine, but at the same time, but again, I don't know him personally. And me, when it comes to politics, I don't care about you personally. I just worry about what you're about to do to make our lives better or worse. That's all I care about. All that old personal shit can go out the window. So, but you have other states that, have been accused of holding their people hostage over the pandemic situation. But as of right now, it seems like everything's, I'm not going to say it's returning back to normal. I think there's things that coming out of this, we can definitely pick up. It definitely would be nice to have it. And what's going on now is that stores have the individual right to require masks. I think that is good. I think we should think about that more, because I'm like, this is a situation where, unfortunately, our attention span is going to make us aware in the short term the stuff that we breathe, and make us aware of our own health statuses. And then after about 6 months, everybody be doing everything like it was normal all over again. And then we're not going to learn from it, and we're going to have the same shit happen maybe a couple of years, 3 years down the road. Because like I said, we had this during the Obama administration, definitely with the last part of the Trump administration. And here's the thing. Some of you fools want to vote this man back in office, talking about Trump, want to vote this man back in office in 2024. You really want this shit to happen again? All right. I'm good. Y'all, I will leave this country if he gets voted back, because y'all, and 74 million of y'all don't give a shit about this country. Honestly, the other 81 don't give a shit about this country either. I didn't vote for Biden either. So as far as I'm concerned, it's like we're still in this like standstill, stuck process. But as far as our states opening back up, hopefully with the concerts, with this summer, the mask mandates being lifted and stuff like that, we shall be that should alleviate a lot of stress, because a part of the mental health aspect of it was the fact that there were people that didn't want to. They felt like, oh God, this is bad. They felt like they were how would I say it? They felt like they were enslaved because they had to wear a mask. Somehow we turned what was good for our health into a political statement. Either side, and both should be ashamed of it. It should never be a political statement to be in good health. It should always be about personal health. Now, there are reasons why certain people couldn't wear masks. I know me, I have trouble breathing through certain masks. And it was a couple of days in August where I was working at this one place. I only was there for a couple of days because I got sick. But then on top of that, while I was working, wearing the mask, I couldn't breathe. But that's just me. Because I know there's a nurse watching, like, you didn't have to do it the whole entire time. Like, no. It's not. It's not comparing a situation. It's more or less saying that in my situation, comparing it to myself, what I've dealt with before, the mask I had on was not geared for me to have on for 8 hours. And this is me knowing, because I have a bunch of friends who are nurses that were on the front line and had to deal with this shit the whole year. That stressed them the fuck out. Their mental health was always at risk. So it really is crazy. But you did have people, the crazies, that thought that they compared having a mask on like being enslaved. I was like, no, they didn't put your ass in a boat. They didn't have your own friends turn you in. They didn't keep you constrained next to the next person who was probably dead, probably sick of whatever sickness he had that caught from the Europeans at the time, that got other people sick, and several dead bodies across the ocean where people got seasick in a cramped. There was a game that tried to trivialize, how they stored slaves in the ships. Like it was a game of Tetris. That's what it was to these Europeans. It was a game of Tetris. How can you fit this person here? How can you fit this person here? No, wearing a mask is nothing like slavery. Nothing. At least you get to keep your identity, your religion, and your family, and your life, and you get to stay in your home. How enslaved are you really? But people felt that way, and it was probably one of the dumbest statements I've ever heard in my entire life. But anyway, so hopefully, as we open up, hopefully these states, Maryland, the East Coast, West Coast, Central, South, North, Canada has been very cautious about this. They shut their borders down to us. Touche. It was like, nah, it's bad down there. That's what they were saying. After we were saying that to Mexico. Payback's a bitch. More like karma, but it's, yeah. Yeah, we couldn't escape from the United States. We saved our lives. Europe was, UK in particular, were like, nope, they ain't coming over here. We said the same thing, said the same shit to them. Nah, y'all ain't coming over here either. Shoot, y'all housed the Black Plague at one point, but boy. But hopefully everybody is being cautious and safe. It's not even a point to talk about social distancing, because I'm like, nobody cares now. Like I said, short-term attention span. Nobody's going to be like, okay, here's one I know a person would probably be aware of it for a long time. I stepped outside to get the mail, and I was having a hard time getting something out the mail. And this old lady walked up, and she didn't have her mask on. I didn't have my mask on. She stopped. I looked at her. I was just like, and we probably gave each other the, is it okay? Like, we hesitated, and me trying to reassure her that, everything is fine. I'm like, don't worry, this was just the other day. I was like, I'm fine. I'm vaccinated. That leads to another thing. And she was like, oh, no, take your time. I was just like, but I don't think she understood that I couldn't, whatever was in the mail, it was too big to just pull out and just walk away. So she wanted to walk behind me. So I just made sure that she got behind me, or she, passed by, and then I eventually got my stuff out the mail and went back in the house. But, and the thing I was leading up to, as far as just telling somebody you're vaccinated, somebody could lie about that. And that was initially the concern about the mixed messaging of, okay, you don't have to wear a mask, whatever, just go by what people said. The fear that people should be carrying their vaccination cards, vaccination passport, and the fear that government was going to impose all that. So far, they haven't. So far, so good. But it doesn't say they can't. They probably will at some point. Okay, so we've hit about an hour and some change. And let me see. Like I said, Thaddeus, I don't know if he's still watching. Preliminary spec, he's lurking. Probably already streaming now at this point. And wow, he hit that bank shot? He's shooting better tonight, apparently. But it's a back and forth game. Westbrook's got 19 points, 5 rebounds. Oh, still do something. They need to take advantage of this trip down the court. I knew that was going to fall short. Oh, right to take advantage of it. Okay, anyway, I'm getting too much into that game. But see what it. Oh, he tried that bank shot again. He needs to stop doing that. He made the last one from far out. They need to stop. But anyway, hopefully states are doing this right and looking out for people's best interests. Now the Wizards are down by 2. All right, so now the crazy thing. Since we are talking about the NBA playoffs, let's talk about the fans going wild. So we've had in, let's see, Philly, Boston, New York, and recently, I think the most recent one was Washington. We've had fans just doing what they want to do. All of a sudden, they're back in it. They're like crowds are back in the stands for these playoffs, which the networks don't have to pump in fake noise anymore. Okay, what's going on here? Oh, yes. Drain the 3. But yeah, so you had the people in the case in Boston, Kyrie Irving, after the game, stepped on the logo, which isn't human. It's a fictional character, so it's not real. So it doesn't matter if he stepped on it because everybody stepped on that logo. All up and down the logo, all up and down all night long in that game for 2 games. And y'all got beat that game. Threw a bottle that ultimately just got past Kyrie, but it looked like it was aimed at Kyrie. So yeah, that situation. Trae Young was spat upon, and when it was finally broken down, you definitely could tell that was. I'm like, just spitting on somebody is a disgusting act, but the fact that the guy he pulled down his mask just to do it, and then he was talking shit afterwards. Funny thing is, 50 Cent was sitting right there. I think he could have squared up on that dude and just punched him right in the mouth. That would have sent the message. The player wouldn't have had to send the message because Trae didn't know he got spat upon until he saw the footage. Because it probably landed on his jersey, but the female fan sitting next to 50, saw it. She kind of jumped out like, "Oh my God, can't believe that was done." I'm like, you can tell there's a lot of shit being talked, but he to spit on Trae Young. And 50 should have turned. If he would have realized at that moment when he was going, he would have turned around, but and just popped that dude, but didn't happen. And Westbrook's case, this was in Philly after he got injured. I think it was game 2. He got injured. They were getting blown out. He's walking off the court with a group of people, and his fan in red comes down and pours popcorn with, I think, the butter and stuff inside of it. Just sprinkled it all down on Westbrook. Westbrook wanted to fight that man. Now, Westbrook, he's had a history of dealing with fans, coming at, giving him the middle finger, saying racial stuff. And for that to happen, have popcorn poured all over you, butter, and probably had it felt like the juices were there. I don't think there was any juice in it because I think in Philly they serve their popcorn dry, which is probably the worst type of popcorn I've ever tasted in my entire life. But yeah, very disrespectful. Like all these acts are disrespectful. Well, this one at the end with Washington didn't really get to the players. They actually stopped the drive from occurring. And the fan came from high up on the center court, ran, jumped up, touched the backboard, and then got tackled by the security guard, which was a nice form tackle that he gave him. So, that security guard definitely needs to be signed up by the Washington football team. I'm like, our defense is pretty top notch. We would like to have that security guard play middle linebacker for us. God damn. Well, the Wizards don't play defense, which they're not known to do. This series is going to end tonight. They're down by 4, and they're not playing defense. Wow, he made that shot. Anyway, but yeah. So I'm glad that last bit didn't end up involving a player, but at least, oh God, now what? Why did he? Oh, yeah, Wizards doing dumb stuff right now. So it is really crazy. So yeah, one of the things just to wrap this portion up, because this topic wasn't going to go so quick as well. One thing that doesn't need to happen, not just the fact that these fans are being banned for life, they need to be punched in the face. They need to, in a professional wrestling bout, if you as a fan jump in the ring, you're getting your ass beat. It is just that simple. I probably said this a couple of episodes ago, but that rings true. Shoot, imagine if you got on the ice as a fan. Hockey players would fuck you up. Shoot, we had incidents in the minor leagues where a fan jumped on the field, tried to fight the pitcher. That whole team, both teams should have fucked that guy up. I'm like, these fans have to learn not to get in the field to play. If you want to be part of the field, we're going to put you under the field. If you want to be on the court, we're going to put you under the court. If you want to be on the diamond, people have to scrap these days. But yeah, it's just ridiculous. And honestly, a lifetime ban is a slap on the wrist. I'm like, I think one of the fans was I think the fan that threw the bottle at Kyrie was up for assault charges, assault and battery. Probably going to amount to like a small fine, but he was able to get away with it. He'll feel like if that ban is ever lifted, which it will, probably like 2 or 3 years later, because people will forget about it, he'll probably do it again. Or just not serve alcohol at the games, which nobody wants. But it'll be your fans' fault. All right, so there's some random things that actually popped up before I get to the last topic, since we're in the realm of sports. All right, so Coach K is going to retire at the end of this upcoming college season. He's been Duke's identity, not just for basketball, but pretty much for the whole damn school. I'm like, you think of University of Duke, you think Mike Krzyzewski. I was glad I actually just said his name right, because I wasn't sure how it's been pronounced and how I've been able to get it right all this time. But you look at his last name, you're like, how do you get that pronunciation? But that's what it is. But we call him Coach K. Now, as a Marylander, even though I'm not a Terps fan, and I make it clear I'm not a Terps fan, I'm a Georgetown Hoya fan. I'm like, Thad, who probably is still listening, he can have the Terps. I'm a Hoyas guy, but for Maryland Terp fans, Duke has always been a thorn in their side. When Maryland was in the ACC, they will always play each other. It will always be, nip and tuck. It'll always be some type of battle going on. So, oh boy. See. Come on, Preliminary. Come on, Preliminary. I was sitting there talking about Coach K. You have to make this about you. So Preliminary Sports says, I'm glad I turned down that Duke offer for basketball. I need footage of you playing basketball, sir. Last week or 2 weeks ago, you said you could rap. And there was no footage that you sent. Now you saying basketball? What didn't you do that you can't back up with evidence, with any video footage? You first person on the moon? Have sex with Jennifer Lopez? I'm sure there's no footage out there of that. Preliminary. I'm gonna need some evidence. You know how this works. You make a claim, you have to provide evidence. If you don't provide evidence, I will consider the case withdrawn or thrown out. That is just like John Shayer is basically the new coach. I don't even know who that dude is, but he definitely will have a sub 500 team. Recruiting will go down, and Duke will be finished. Finally, I had to wait. This had to happen after my youthful years go by. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this man couldn't quit. At least by 2007. When Georgetown made it to the Final Four, oh boy, they left another guy open. And 3-pointers are killing the Wizards right now. They keep leaving these 3-point shooters open, and knowing the Wizards can't consistently hit threes and just turn the ball over. Just step in front of him. Oh, he traveled! He traveled before. Knowing referees don't call traveling these days. Oh, boy, whatever. But, Coach K is retiring. I think they said somebody else is retiring, too, that coached just as long as he did. But, all right, so another thing that took place. Now, this is hilarious. Let's see. Do I really want to bring this up? So remember the NFL has been going through this concussion lawsuit with former NFL players? Remember the fact that people keep telling us black folks that there's no such thing as systemic racism, that it doesn't exist? It's just a figment of our imagination. Imagine when I came across this little bit as the NFL settled a $1 billion lawsuit, or settled with the former players. Hey, what's up, Villain in Black? I see you. There you go. Says Joe. That's Doug Thomas right there. Okay, and Preliminary says Boston coach quit too. No, it wasn't the Boston coach. It was Danny Ainge, that bitch ass nigga. I should have said this on the lab, but I'll come back to him. But yeah, he's a band. He definitely is a band, but he definitely quit. He was one of the people talking about that takes to that fictional logo as a real person. Lucky is like a son to me. Tried to fight the whole net squad. Tried to wrestle up. He tried to wrestle him. So, and now okay. You know what? Let me talk about it. I'll get to the NFL thing in a little bit. This dude, Danny Ainge, tried to wrestle up a gang to confront the Kyrie Irving and the Nets in the locker room. This is rumored, so I don't know if this is true. But if it is true, even if it's not true, it's just funny to hear that this is what it came down to. And basically Danny Ainge was the president of basketball operations. Now the current coach has been elevated to also hold that title as well, since Danny Ainge is stepping down. But this dude was like, that logo, when Kyrie stepped on that logo, Lucky is like a son to me. If that's what is true. Remember, these are rumors. I don't know if it was confirmed, but they said a source, and we know how those go, said that was the last straw. Kyrie stepping on the logo. He tried when he couldn't. When people in the Celtics locker room, when he was like, "Hey, let's go over there, teach him a lesson," like West Side Story style. The Celtics players were like, "What do you want us to do? It's just a logo. Relax. We gotta play him again." So, wait, hold up. So Stevens is not the coach anymore? I thought he was elevated, but is still the coach. So he can't hold two. He can't hold. Say he's been brought down, wanted to get into the match. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll definitely check that out after the podcast. But damn, that is so. Okay, so Thaddeus says he said talking about Stevens. Brad Stevens says he's burnt out and wanted to get into a management role. So he basically is the president of player operations, but he's no longer the coach of the Boston Celtics. If somebody can send me a link to confirm that, I'm going to take your word for it. But that's crazy. So I thought he was going to take on both roles. You know, NFL coaches tend to do stuff like that. Excuse me. Okay, and Daddy says no longer. I think that's a correction to what you were saying earlier, but I got what you were saying. So, but yeah, Danny Ainge, he couldn't fight when he was a younger player. So it makes you think he'd be able to get a group of people to fight anybody in the New York Nets, the New Jersey, the Brooklyn Nets. There I go. I'm showing my age, talking about New York, New Jersey, then Brooklyn. It's in New Jersey's different state, but you know, New York, Brooklyn, kind of the same. On the boroughs of New York. But anyway, the play Brooklyn's the spot with the Timberlands at. It's like, I'm just kidding. I'm just showing my ignorance. All in New York City is about them Timbs. We all know. So okay, so back to this NFL news. So okay, let me reset it back up. Remember the lawsuit that the NFL was going through with his concussions with the foreign players? Remember people telling black folks there was no such thing as systemic racism. Well, when I came across this liner right here that the NFL is selling a $1 billion lawsuit to its former players, and they're no longer using what they call a practice of race norm to determine which players could get their money from this lawsuit. And what determined which players throughout the years would get the money. Race norm was practiced as a theme that the stance of I wouldn't say definition, but what was established as a practice of race norm with this of determining who gets money basically stated that African American football players already started out with lower cognitive functions before they started playing football. So it would make it tougher for the African American players that played in the NFL to get this money. Nah, son. There's no way anyone, after seeing that, after reading that, I read the whole article. After reading that, no one can tell me anything about the non-existence of systemic racism. That's it. Just imagine that's been practiced already. What's in existence right now that talks about systemic racism? Historically black colleges. You want to know why they exist? Because they wouldn't let us in the regular colleges to begin with. Obviously, that's no longer, but that's the first. That's one example. Um, Jim Crow. They were just more obvious about it. Um, what's another one? So affirmative action. You know, racial bias in hiring practices. Okay, that's another form of systemic racism. Um, the one thing I will give other people out that talk about the fact that it doesn't exist is that the way sometimes we talk about it, sometimes the way we approach it is like it's a hidden agenda type of thing, when in fact it's actually in your face. And I think we need to present it more as it in your face and show in your face evidence. And with that, and with the NFL, no, this was a preliminary. It's like has ESPN mentioned it? I don't know if they mentioned it, but it came across my feed, and I think one of the who did I originally see it? Oh no, I actually retweeted the article, I believe. Let me pull it up. I thought this, like I said, I thought it was crazy. Associated Press. Is that good enough for you? It says the NFL says it will halt the use of race norming, which assumed black players started out with lower cognitive functioning, in a $1 billion settlement of brain injury claims. The practice had made it harder for black players to qualify. Fuck ESPN. I'm only saying that because ESPN has been a joke as of late, as far as any type of real news, and especially with the people being like that have been leaving ESPN. So, yeah, that was in the Associated Press. I retweeted it earlier, so if you go to my Twitter account and you go on my profile, you'll see it. Matter of fact, let me do this. So make it faster for people to find. Actually shouldn't take that long to find, but just go on my Twitter feed. I was gonna pin it, but I want to keep something up a little longer that I have already pinned to it. But yeah, that's some shit. That is systemic racism in the NFL, in your face. It was being practiced up until now. Oh boy. And all this time I'm sitting there joking, or actually I was being serious about the Dallas Cowboys running a plantation, but the NFL definitely was running a plantation. And black players were assumed to have a lower cognitive functions. That's why it made them harder to qualify to get their money. The NFL's going to hell for that. That's some bullshit. Doug Thomas was like, I'm not surprised. I'm not either. That's just some crazy shit. And then obviously everybody heard the news that and switching to video games. Santa Monica announced that they're delaying God of War, and that it will also be cross-gen. Ever since PS4 came out, and then PS5, and then obviously Xbox One and Xbox Series, between current gen and next gen, we've been getting all sorts of delays from every single major game. I think somebody put it out there that I think it was Broken Games HD. I actually put it out there. It was like there's been no major game. There have been games that have come out on time, but like there's no major games that have come out on their initially announced release date. None. So this just goes with the pattern that, hey, this is just a long pattern of behavior of these companies announcing that we're going to put out the game. No, we're not. We're going to take a little bit longer. In a way, I'm glad, but there's a reason why they put out the initial announcements and then they have to delay it. And I think BG talked about it a little bit in that tweet, and it's basically for the investors. So, and I agree with that. Investors love to hear when the game's release date is, so they can get their people talking, so they can invest more money, so everybody can make more money all the way around. Doesn't matter when the game comes out. The fact that excitement grows, which the value of the game grows, the more the excitement is generated around the game. So you release, everybody's generally waiting for a release date. When you get the release date, then the hype goes up. So when it's like, okay, we have to delay, too late, value already boosted into the game because everybody was hyped for the release date. And that's when the investors are there for. So, and the fact that it's cross-gen. So, and that leads me to another thing. Yes, I am emptying out the clip because I am not going to be back until July 9th with this show. But in attachment to that, people being mad that games are cross-gen. I'm not a defender of these corporations or anything of this nature, but they did say that this was going to be a 2 to 3 year transitional process. It's not a surprise that most of these games that they're announcing are going to be cross-gen. Now, all transparency, I do not have a next-gen console. I was in that initial push, didn't get one. So be it. But I'm on record on saying before we even got to that point that it was a mistake to release the next-gen consoles during the middle of a pandemic, in which the result of which produced a chip shortage, in which there's not enough consoles to meet demand. And then on top of that, we have these fuck-ass scalpers using bots and snatching up all the consoles and all the graphics cards and driving in which in the graphics card department driving up all the prices to make these graphics cards expensive as hell, and then driving up the price on these consoles where people are spending $1,000, $2,000, $2,000. Let's see. There have been people who've been able to get it at retail places, but it's been hell and high water to get one. And I'm not going through all that. I have the funds to do it, to get one from a scalper. I refuse to do it, not on moral high grounds that I'm not paying more for something that I eventually will be able to pay for at retail value. I will eventually. I'm patient enough. I got a PC. I got a PS4 Pro. I'm good. And the sad, oh wow, Philly's starting to pull away, but it's late in the third quarter. It's 95-87, but this is a dangerous situation for Washington. If they can't really hang in there, the fact that there were people that weren't worried that they didn't have Joel Embiid, but that's what happens. You have a superior team playing the Wizards. So Doug is like, yep, they should have waited this year. They definitely should have. They should have waited this year. This year would have been good, because when they announced, they said there was going to be a 2 to 3 year transition. We're talking about 2020. They said this. So 2022, 23 would be the time where you're going to see supposedly true next-gen games and next-gen only type games, because everybody would have a console by now. Well, majority of people have a console by now, but that's not the case. That's just not the case. But that's where greed comes in. But just to go back to the people, again, don't ever be mad that I'm like, be mad for like 1 second, but then understand that they did warn everybody that this was going to be the case. It was 2 to 3 years of transitional. So everybody talking about they need to move the fuck on. They need to move the fuck on. Leave the people behind, and being selfish in their words. Understand that you have to. They They got everybody. They got y'all. They was gonna get me if I had gotten one. But the fact is, right now you're playing games that are not true next gen games. Even Returnal, I don't see that being true next gen. I can see that it is better than the PS4, but not like, you know, as far as like the type of game that could be put on. Because shoot, Uncharted looked pretty damn good. It runs better on PS5, but it's a PS4 game. Returnal, if you take away a little bit of the graphics there, you could run that on PS4. So, like, it really is crazy that, you know, this type of stuff happens and people are shocked by it. And if you just listen, you would know that it's going to be like this. It's going to be like this because the companies pre-plan stuff. They don't just do things out of the norm. They pre-plan this. They knew shit was going to go downhill. They knew shit was going to hit the fan and whatnot. So it's just like, as far as them boosting about numbers and stuff like that, most of those numbers are coming from scalpers snatching up 20 consoles in one minute. So it's just a crazy situation. So Subliminary Sports says, is PS5 really that much better? I don't know. I'm like, I think as of right now, I think Xbox Series, I think they have one exclusive game out, and PS5 has one exclusive game out. But all the major exclusives have been pushed back, except for Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised. Again, I mentioned this earlier. I wouldn't be surprised if that got pushed back. But it is what it is. So I just seen some. Subliminary Sports says he loves his PS4. I don't love my PS4, but you know it works. Like No Man's Sky just came out with an update that you could really only see you on a PC or a next gen console. I'm like, I looked at the update to see what nice 3-pointer. Just to see what the update provided, and on PS4, I had the Pro. On PS4 Pro, it marginal as far as like the reflections, like the details that really bring about the environment, like reflections, stuff that you would see on PC and on these next gen generations, ray tracing, all that type of stuff. What's the update? Subliminary asks, what's the update? Basically, it's No Man's Sky's update 3.5. It's called the Prisms update. So they basically, let me see, as I look confused for a second, I'm just about to put up the wrong type of, okay, there we go. That's what I was looking for. I'm sitting there putting up the wrong type of, yeah, that's going to be interesting. Who's going to step up on there talking about the Wizards game? Prisms, introducing update 3.5. So I'm just reading off the site. It says, update 3.5, Prisms dramatically refreshes the No Man's Sky experience with a range of new visual features and technologies. The universe has never looked better with reflections, new texture effects, more biome details. Like the caves are definitely more detailed than they were before. Improved lighting, that's evident on both, more so on the next gen and PC consoles than the current ones. New skies, yeah, there's stars in the skies. It's new warp effects. If you are LSD, telling you, them warp effects, and then creature fur, and a host of more besides. The creature fur, apparently that's not going to be for. There's certain things on this update that they could only do for maybe one of the they can maybe only do for all but one of the consoles, and the base PS4 and the base Xbox One suffer from this. And I think there's an instance where the PS4 Pro gets cut out of the love, but it definitely is a nice like update, especially when I checked that out on PC. Those reflections, man. I don't have ray tracing. I have a GTX graphics card. It's a 1660 Ti, which is ancient by now, but still works. And I get good gaming out of it. Not the best, but better than the PS4 Pro. So I have something to hold me over until a next gen console is available to me. So Preliminary says nice. Yep. So No Man's Sky, they've been out since that game released in 2016, and it's been doing very well in the comeback story. Not so much on the launch. I have footage. I streamed launch night. Man, compared to what it was launch night, what I'm playing now is a way different game. Like this game has been paid for. I paid $60 for a game that now you can. It probably is like 5 games in one, so literally it would be $300 if you place 5 of these with the different updates. Like launch No Man's Sky could be a biome by itself. That's how different the game is now versus then. But they need to address our starships. Like I need to be able to paint them hoes, and I need to also be able to construct these starships. I don't want to always have these starships. They have procedural awareness, and why can't I get a procedurally generated part to make my current fighter look like the X-Wing or look like a F-14 Tomcat? Like I want stuff like that in the game. Like you can have pets from the creatures that you come across. There's a giant worm that I remember they featured in the E3 some years ago, and also featured in another E3 in another game. But it is what it is. All right. Okay, so it's a 9-point game. Ish Smith just drove and got blocked by like 2 people from the 76ers. I'm not a betting man, but who says the Wizards pull this out at this point in time? They're down by 9. They just started the 4th quarter. How many people here believe that the Sixers are going to close this out tonight? Just saying. I'm being realistic. I feel like they can close this out. The fact that they have this lead, and I don't see the Wizards overcoming it because they don't have the pinpoint shooting to do it. It would take the 76ers going cold for the next 5 to 6 minutes for the Wizards to have a chance. And I don't see that happening because they are rallying around the fact that they're playing for each other. They're trying to get rid of the Wizards. They don't want the Wizards to hang around, which was a key for each game, that as long as the Wizards hung around, which they didn't for like 2 games, which was game 2 and 3, then they would have a chance to win the games at the end. I think this is it for the Wizards. And hopefully it's it for Scott Brooks. But we'll see. See what happens there. All right, so what's next? All right, so speak of the devil, it's literally what I was about to talk about next. What's next for the show? Because we're hitting that wind-up time. I know I've gone on not longer than I expected. I figured this was going to be a long episode. But, see, that's what I'm talking about. They don't have the pinpoint shooting to do what they need to do, and they need Philly. Well, they also need to play defense. God damn, he still made it? Jesus Christ. So Philly's not going cold. They smell blood, and they're going to keep going until the Wizards are done. So I think this series is over tonight. And Preliminary even sat there and was like, he believes that the Wizards are done tonight. So it's being, and you know what? And it's funny because I'm a Wizards fan, but I tend to be realistic about my squad. Shoot, I said it about the Caps. All right, Preliminary. So is VF doing well? I don't know. You have to ask him. Let's see. And Doug Thomas says, your we. Wait a minute. What, Doug? What are you saying? You're gonna have to please type that over again. I urge you. It says my blank will be over tomorrow. Your console. Hopefully that's what you're saying. Because I'm I my brain exploded trying to read what you just knowing that was a word missing. So hopefully you're talking about your console. Oh, your Lakers. Oh boy, we were talking about that. So it says my Lakers series will be over tomorrow. Okay, that's what you're saying. So you're being realistic about the Lakers. So with AD being out, that makes it a realistic thing that they could be eliminated and upset a lot of people's picks as the Suns being the team that gets knocked out. So that's a sad situation. And to tell you the truth, it's funny. All right, so we're gonna hold off on the topic I was gonna bring up because this is a good one. The Lakers. This is a good team to talk about right now because we've seen this on other teams that LeBron has been on. When there's nothing he can do, he checks out. This is kind of like reminiscent of when he first got on the Heat. No, what I actually know. Not when he first. The last year he was on Cleveland, the first go around, he checked out. Miami, initially in the first year, he checked out. Miami in that final year, he checked out. Cleveland, and I'm just stating what I'm seeing, but I'm not saying it's good or bad. But it's just there's a repeated pattern when there's nothing he can do about overcoming a circumstances, he checks out. It's just a repeated pattern that I'm seeing at certain moments in his career with a team. Now with the Cleveland and I can't talk with Cleveland in the first run. I'm like, he got them to the finals, and he got them with players that no other person would get them to the finals too. But there's only so much he can do. He got swept. I think he got swept by the San Antonio Spurs. So was it the Spurs that swept them? But either way, they got swept. Nothing he can do. He didn't have the players around him. He checked out the final year after that. Miami first gets in. Dwayne Wade is asking him, help me. He checks out. But then he checks in. They win a couple of championships. The third championship run, the appearance, he starts checking out because at the end, there was nothing that he could do to help Miami win that series. And then, what was it? His second run with Cleveland, very successful. He brings a championship home to Cleveland. But then the following year, starts checking out again. So now we're seeing with the Lakers, and what's going on there is that the situation is beyond his control. It's not an excuse. I believe this is a fact. He's in a position where this team is going to be AD's team. He's preparing to retire after this. Not after this season, but after he's done. Like when he decides to hang him up, this is going to be AD's team. But AD keeps getting hurt. And Brian's going to keep yelling, I'm 36 or 37 next year, 38 the following year if AD doesn't stay healthy. Remember, LeBron was going to give AD his jersey number because that was AD's jersey number in New Orleans. As long as they need to, and you know what? It's funny because this was the same thing with Beal. When Beal first came into the league, he was always hurt. But eventually, something happens. You understand your health a little bit better. You understand dieting. You understand, therapy and what works for your body to the point where then you get like a LeBron James where he doesn't get hurt. And LeBron James is still dealing with an injury himself. He's still dealing with. Everybody forgets you can. Damn. Yeah, this game is over. It's a 13 point game? Yeah, this game is over. Wow, that's wild ass shot for no reason. Can't even put home or put home dunk. Yeah, this game is over. So yeah, I think the Suns are gonna probably eliminate the Lakers. I don't see this going 7. AD's still out. LeBron can't do it by himself. I'm like, it just proves to tell you that at the end of the day, basketball is not just a one-man sport. Never has been. Even when Michael Jordan was by himself, he couldn't do it. So it is what it is. They'll get eliminated. I know the Wizards look, they're pretty much done. Unless they go on it. Like I said, all it takes is for Philly to be cold for like 5 minutes. And I don't see that happening. So all right. So what's next for the show? What's next for what the fuck just happened? So we're wrapping up season 3. We've hit 30 episodes. And the scheduling has been working. If he makes it, I'm about to say, wow, he fouled him. And I've been able to do the show on schedule all day, well, every Wednesday, and a couple of moves to Thursday or whatever. I remember at the beginning, I fumbled her. I was moving her. I think I started on a Monday, whatever October 15th was, because I think that was the first episode, was October 15th. And it's funny, formulating this schedule was more of an organic thing. And right now I'm just being totally transparent about this show, because I feel like the show has good legs. And that was the point. And that pretty much seemed like that is it fits me to a T, because, as far as my athletic self, my legs are the strongest part on me. And when they falter, that's when I know I have to hang them up. And so far, still strong. 41 years old, legs are the strongest thing on me. Well, actually, my mind is, but, legs are the next best thing. But anyway, I feel like this show has good legs. There's a lot of improvement that needs to be done. There's more numbers, and I'm accountable for everything that happens with this show. The marketing, the production, the mass. I wouldn't say mass production, because I only go to like it stays on Twitch for a little bit. It's on YouTube permanently, goes to SoundCloud, then goes to Spotify, and then it's up on Spotify. And I enjoy doing this. I enjoy doing this as a hobby. I will continue to do it as a hobby. This is not going to be like the main thing for me. I'm like, as far as being realistic, this is not paying any bills. It will not pay any bills. This will just be fun for me. So that's why, like, when I scroll the little PayPal donations, I'm like, if you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. If you do, thank you. If you do, if you don't, but you still watch, thank you nonetheless. It is what it is. I just feel like I'm having fun, and I want to continue to do so. And being diligent with my schedule, I have a month off. And I'm going to take the time. I've already kind of started preparing for season 4. But in the time that I have off, there's going to be other stuff. There's probably going to be some cutbacks. Like I said, this doesn't pay the bills, but it also doesn't pay the premium for StreamYard. So, but there's some things that may be returning with the cutbacks, because in moving forward, there were some things that were left behind that were vital to me in the pacing of the show. Because honestly, when you hear a podcast, if no one's talking, you hear silence. It's unnerving. It's very unnerving to me. And up until episode 12 or episode 13, whenever it was, I made that switch. And again, thank you, Villain in Black, for giving me that push, that initial push to go to premium from StreamYard. I do remember you were the initial reason why I did it. And I thank you for that. It is definitely, it was a push I needed. And it propelled me through the rest of season 2 and all of season 3. So thank you very much. But there's no music when everyone's silent. Even when I had Bills on here, even VF for that one little bit, I don't think I've had anybody else other than them two on this show. And just for the fact that, what is it? Just for the fact that if I'm not speaking, there's silence, but there's no songs playing. Now, I do my due diligence to find out what songs are okay to play. And the category has been lo-fi. And it's perfect for me because lo-fi, I use it to study. I use it to like chill out and relax. And that's what they're there for. They're like the cousin relative, close relative of binaural beats. They're like almost one and the same. So the music, the background music will be returning. The funny thing about the cutback is that the quality of the stream is going to be higher, but it may not be. I may keep it at the same because I'm going to be going off camera for a little bit. Because one of the things, and like I said, this stream has mental health written all over it. And to tell you the truth, I'm worn out being in front of the camera. I'm worn out from talking. So that's why this month-long break is welcomed and it's properly timed. And the way the way the schedule works out, this will happen around this time every year, which is perfect. So I know at some point I'm getting a month off, or I think it comes up again in the winter if I stick to my schedule. So let's see. Let me go to the chat real quick. Doug's like, "You're welcome." That was for talking about him pushing me to do the. No, he didn't just outright push me to do it. It was just the motivation was there. He provided the motivation for me to do it, and then he also says, "But thank you as well for talking to us." And I'm like, I know, and a lot of you guys pretty much through First and Frame Rates. As far as being a panelist on there, a lot of you guys I met through being on that show. And, you know, I originally, when I started this show, I wanted to get away from the sports arena because that's also on my mental health as well. And I would say there were shows on First and Frame Rates where we're talking about certain subjects. You probably wouldn't hear from me. And more than likely, you would see the look on my face half the time when talking about like the nitty gritty of sports. And to tell you the truth, a lot of times I wasn't really into it because it's only for me. There's only so much you can talk about when it comes to sports, and there were so many references I started making that were away from sports. That's why I created What the Fuck Just Happened. So I can get that out the way. So I could be refreshed for First and Frame Rates. But now that First and Frame Rates is honestly behind me, it's one of those things where I'm glad that I can take on sports in little bits, but talk about the other things that really are on my mind and stuff like that. So the show will continue along that path. Will be sports in little bits and, you know, gaming, life in general. I'll probably throw in a little bit more, not more politics, but more like the personal training, fitness aspect, mental health. I will definitely be talking about that and just heading in that realm. Preliminary asked me, am I good? I'm good. I'm like, trust me. One thing that people like, if you met me in person, and one of the things, like if we've played sports together and stuff like that, one thing that you will not see is me shy away from, the spotlight. I know that there's a limit to how long I can be in the spotlight. And I just feel like I've reached my limit as far as being in the spotlight. I feel like it is time for me to step back from the camera, kind of pull one of these numbers, and just be a voice and be a logo. And that was the reason why I'm glad to have the logo that I have right now, which y'all see it in the top right hand corner. I'm glad to have that logo where it is. So that will be the logo that will see. If I keep StreamYard, I will pulsate. But y'all saw a taste of what could be coming in season 4. That was a Discord background. If you notice, and I'll bring it back up because I have it here. As you see here, the top left, that's the chat, which should also let you know that I have something else, and you probably already know by now, or not know by now, but with that being Discord and a chat, I have a Discord for What the Fuck Just Happened. It's not open yet, but I've not opened it. I've created a server for What the Fuck Just Happened. I'm still in the middle of just getting it just right. And the setup for the show may turn into call-in. Instead of sending invites, if you're already on Discord, this will more than likely be the format. And I will talk more in detail. I'm thinking about a soft launch 2 weeks before I come back, or maybe a week prior, to give folks time to filter in. And I will send the invite. I'll probably post it on my Twitter handle, and I'll probably just put it out there. But I want to switch to a call-in type of show. I know that was something that Sim F-Ball and them were doing for a little bit before they came over to YouTube and stuff like that. And then I think Sim kind of does it on his Terrible Towel Tuesday. So instead of staying in front of the camera, I want to be behind the camera. So in other words, I want everyone to have an equal voice. I don't want it just to be about me in front of the camera and people seeing this face and the facial expressions and the type of look or whatever. God damn, that's a 19-point deficit. Yeah, Wizards are done. They couldn't even beat the Sixers without Embiid in the game. I wouldn't say the Wizards choked, but they had an opportunity that they just could not take advantage of, because the one thing that is always doomed the Wizards is that they can't play defense. That's been the case since 2014. 2 coaches, lack of defense. The only difference was Paul Pierce. Yeah, he's going to eventually start. Yeah, it's like 4.5. This season's over. The fact that they... Anyway. But yeah, so Discord server is up, but not open. But I will start sending out the links maybe, like I said, 2 weeks before I come back, or maybe a week before. Like I said, to give people time to filter in. But hey, I like what I'm doing. Subliminary says stream positive music. That's what the lo-fi was. The lo-fi was a pace setter. It helped me as far as being able to talk with a timing. It's like my timing mechanism. Because here's the thing, I went back and I watched all the previous episodes, and just noticing that, and this is a self-reflection here, noticing that my rhythm was a lot better, and it actually set me up to the way I am right now without any music. I still, and this is, like I said, this is a mental thing here. I still hear the music. Like I can, it's music in my own head, and I know that's like crazy talk. You know, you ever hear somebody talk about, I hear music in my head, but you don't hear any music, like actual music. It's actually a thing that helps with timing. What the fuck? This nigga said stream porno type music. That man trying to get me booted. So subliminary is like look up 528 hertz. Yeah, I'll definitely look that up. It'll definitely be a thing. Like I have 2 apps on here that talk about the hertz and stuff like that, as far as the different tones. That they have like God sound, they have like angelic sounds, they have I listen to a lot of the environmental cues, like rainforest. Like I love rain and thunder. Like I like rainstorms in real life and in sound. I love rain, I love thunder, lightning. That is just I'm like, I become relaxed when those things are happening. So when there was like if we have like a hurricane, oh, I'm gonna be the one chilling. This is me. I'm the calm in the storm. So yeah, so the music was definitely an important thing, and I'm glad that I'm going to have that back with the format that I'm gonna have next. I think it not only should give me back my timing and my peace, it also should be able to help others and set everybody else's timing. Because it's just like, cause it kind of gives you that setting, like you're sitting, like you're out with friends and you're at a bar somewhere, or you're out at a restaurant and they got like the music, the background music playing, and you have a cool environment. I'm probably going to keep that background too, because I'm like, that we can look at it again. That is a cool ass background. I'm like, come on, yeah. To me, you can't beat that. And for those that are on Spotify that can't see this, because that's another thing I've been practicing, is ever since I got my stuff on Spotify, is just understanding what people are listening to. They can't see it because they can only hear it. I have a background from The Last of Us 2, and spoiler alert, even though the game's been out for a good year now and I've already beaten it, I know VF beat it. He beat it on stream. He finally did it, but it was funny. The funny thing? VF started before me in that game, and I beat the game before he did. But we both were tired after that game because that game drags. It drags. But this is like, again, spoiler alert. I would like to say the last thing you see before the game ends. Because Ellie basically puts it down, sits it right where it sits at the window. There's an open window. There's an open guitar case. The guitar is, because she tried to play it, but she's missing a finger because Abby bit them shits off in the fight they had that you got to play through. It's a final fight, and she walks off, and it kind of leaves with this dank environment. Like the room is partially lit with the sun, the rest in darkness. Not pure darkness, but you can tell there's like a shadowy mood to it. Kind of presents the nature of what's going to happen next type of feeling. So that may be the background for the call-in. It may be something else. Who knows? But yeah, that's basically what's going to happen. Damn, it's about to be a 20-point. How you get blown out without Embiid? This definitely a fan pushed effort by the Sixers to pull together like this. I'm like, they're at home, and the Wizards just couldn't put it together. So bye Wizards. They're done. We're done. Embiid can rest. I'm sure he was probably watching from the sideline. He probably provided the motivation for them to win this game. So along with the fans. So, but yeah, that's what it looks like it's going to be for season 4. So, I was actually glad to have this, episode go as long as it did, and have as much to talk about and be able to talk for this long. Because that's another thing about me, is that I tend to not do well when I talk a whole lot. And to talk for Atlanta's about to win also. A preliminary is just putting in that Atlanta is about to win. So actually, we switch to that, because I actually had that on last channel right down there in commercial, and there's no reason to switch back to the Wizards at this point. But yeah, so I'm actually glad I was able to talk to you guys for this long. Like I said, I wanted to make this long because I know I'm not going to be back until July 9th. You probably see me on Twitter. I was actually thinking about doing like a whole like go under a rock type of thing where I would not appear on social media or Facebook. But I'm not like tired of that. Like I can easily just ignore it, because again, my personality is I scroll. I don't try to answer to everything. There's stuff that does piss me off, but it's just Twitter or Facebook. So I've learned not to respond. And actually, that's actually good for mental health, learning to ignore things that you can't control and understanding. And Bill's kind of has this viewpoint about people being idiots. I'm like, but I always say to him, he doesn't have to respond to every person that's being an idiot. They're being an idiot. It's on record that they're being an idiot. You don't have to point it out. You don't have to challenge them on it. They want to be an idiot. Let them hang themselves. And that's my mentality when people do that. There are people that try to bait me into certain things. I've noticed that throughout the years that a lot of people don't do that. And I don't think it's a fear. I think it's that they know that I don't fall for the bullshit. I'm like, there are times where I will fall for certain things, but it's rare. It's very rare. So Doug's like, I came late, so I'm definitely glad you stayed on this long. Yeah, I think normally you, if I remember correctly, when we were doing first and frame rates, you would normally come in the second part of it. So we would start at 8 o'clock and we would go until 10 o'clock. You probably come in on the second hour of it. And it's funny because today I started at 7:30. So I started early, knowing that it was going to be a long one. So I'm almost at 10 o'clock. I'm at 2 hours and 12 minutes right now. I've done a 3-hour one of these before, if I remember correctly. So I'm definitely glad you came by. Like you, preliminary. I know Thaddeus was here on earlier. He probably is in bed now because he has work in the morning. Pooh, Spectacular Pooh, and I think that was it. Actually shocked, no bills. But he's probably busy. He's probably recording. He's got a career to think about. And that was one of the things that that we actually talked about on the side, as far as having him on the show regularly. And I'm like, it's nice, but me and him, we already talked about this. He's gonna come on every once in a while. I definitely want him to focus. And he's been doing that. He's been focusing on his career. He's getting stuff done. And, I tend to agree with the consensus of being more selfish with your time. So to have him come on this show regularly, to me, it would be going against the very advice that I agree with that's been given to him. So, but again, since I'm switching to a call-in format, more people will get to participate, and that's the beauty of this format change. everybody will be able to participate. It won't be just I see you guys in the chat. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be able to just click and like I can click here where Doug's like LOL. No, you guys are going to have a speaking role because, like I said, and this is how did I forget? Currently, AGS does this, but the way the process of it, I'm doing it differently. If you're already a part of the Discord and you're there, there's going to be an audio room that's going to be private. That's the one I'm going to capture from. And I think there's going to be a public one. If you're in the public one, or if you're like in the chat, I'll figure it out. I have a whole month to figure this all out. But I figure I get this all out in the open as far as what is to come. But, the way I'm thinking, I'm going to have monitored the Discord through my phone. And if I see somebody wants to come in, just plug them in through the phone, and people will be able to hear you. You got a complaint, you got something to say, you got a topic you have in mind. It's going to be a season for all. That could be the title theme for season 4. Season for all. See how the thought process works? The wheels turn. But that's all a work in progress. Things could change. But barring my death, I will be back July 9th for start of season 4, episode 31. It has been a pleasure for 30 episodes to appear on camera on my own show and talk to you guys. And you guys have talked to me, have carried me through a lot of the topics I brought up, shared some laughs. People have gotten roasted. People have been booted from the channel jokingly. And trolls that came through the chat got booted immediately. So, yeah. So, unfortunately, to bring it to a close, just like the Wizards season has to end, season 3 has to end as well. So, definitely, Preliminary Sports says, be blessed and safe, my brother. Same to you. Same to everybody that's been viewing. Again, I appreciate it. Shout out to Scott OG. I don't think he's appeared on this show, but he has been in the chat on previous episodes. I think those episodes, unfortunately, I can't bring up the chat because those were on Twitch previously. Oh, and that's another thing. It's going to be YouTube only. I forget. That's the other cutback. I'm not going to multi-stream any longer. So the Twitch version of this show will go bye-bye. The YouTube will remain. So that's the other change. Like I said, it's a work in progress. I got to work these things out. But I am coming back July 9th for season. So mark your calendars. Just mark them. I will be back. It'll be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, July 9th. Again, barring my death. I'm not jinxing myself here. I am fully confident I will be back. Not in front of a camera, but we'll be back to talk to you guys on July 9th. Get this last one. So that's cool. I'll be on YouTube. Great. And to tell you the truth, realistically, I'm like, I know, Doug, I know you're appearing from Twitch, but a lot, and Bills and I talked about this, and he's absolutely right. I'm like, a lot of us were crazy, but not crazy, but to try to have something that was Twitch only when our base came from YouTube. So I like the fact that I was able to multi-stream for a while, but now if I want certain things to come back, there's cutbacks on services that I'm not going to use. Then and certain things are going to return, like quality. I think overall, I think the quality is going to be, I hate to say it, but I feel like the quality is going to be better. Quality of life is going to be better for everybody once I come back. But until that day, that July 9th date comes, remember, 7/9/21 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be back. Until then, you guys be safe. Watch the rest of these playoffs. Make sure y'all guys catch up on the NHL playoffs. I read that. I was about to read something that was already read, but yeah, guys, be safe. It's summertime, so get outside. Your states are open. Get outside, enjoy the fresh air, go hiking, swimming, play basketball. Get in these games this summer. I got a game coming up this Sunday morning. We're gonna be back at it again. So yeah, and I played through my shoulder injury. That's another thing. I'm built like a tank. I mean, I've had injuries all over me, and I just seem to play through them. I don't know how I do it, but I continue to do it. Oh, there it is. It hurts. But Doug's like, see you July 9th. Peace. And yeah, on that note, I will see you guys season 4, July 9th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. YouTube only. In what format? We shall see. Until then, peace.